Hello and welcome to the City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley, with City Manager of Pikeville, Donovan Blackburn. Welcome in today. It's been a while since we've been together.
It has been. As a matter of fact, I think before Thanksgiving.
It was before Thanksgiving, but we've taken that opportunity in the last few weeks to air economic development piece.
You're correct.
That's pretty lengthy and have had several comments on it. Lots of people pleased with the fact that we are being so engaged and talking about the things that are going on here, because a lot of people, either you forget or you don't know. So it was a very informative piece, but it's been a while since we've been here.
Well, Jill, this is what the station's all about. I mean, it is a point of trying to inform the public, to have complete transparency, to educate the folks of how their taxpayers are being spent. And it's great because, like yourself, I'm stopped on the street frequently and thanked just for the fact that our government is being totally transparent and talking about a lot of the great things. And obviously, having a very progressive community with all these projects and events going on has given us a lot of things to talk about. I was just the other day, I was over at Pikeville Medical Center getting some blood drawn, and Charles Mims, Mr. Mims, came up to me and I just stood up and come over and said he wanted to shake my hand and thank the city for all the progressive and more specifically because he was catching up a lot of this stuff on Pike TV. That's just one of many that sticks out in my head, but it's a great tool, a great avenue to make sure that we're really touching the households out there to get the word out. So I'm real excited.
Not only the households in our community, but I was in a couple of different areas over the weekend and the weekend before last who have been traveling to this area and pick it up if they're staying in one of our hotels or if they're at a friend's house and they see it there. And the one thing they keep saying over and over again is the growth. The growth, my goodness, everything is happening there. Is this really happening? You have everything in the world going on in the city and the immediate surrounding area, and how proud that we must be. And of course, I invite them in all the time.
Well, I've said this numerous times, we've been truly blessed. I mean, in a downturn economy, the city of Pikeville has rose above that. We've had tremendous growth both in the private and the government sector. There's a lot of new projects that well, let me say it this way. There's projects that had just been completed, projects that are ongoing, and there's several projects that I'm working on right now that I hope to be able to announce soon. So, it's not stopping. It's still moving forward. A lot of great things are happening, and like yourself, I get the same recognition. Being involved with Kentucky League of Cities, I get calls, Jill, all the time from different communities, different mayors and administrators and city managers, asking how the city is doing this or how the city is doing that. So, we're leading by example throughout the state of Kentucky too, and that's a great. And let me say this too: it's not just the city of Pikeville that's leading. I don't want that misconception out there. It's our community that's leading. There's a lot of great things that's going on in the different sectors, whether it be with UPike or whether it be with the hospital or whether it be with the legal profession. I mean, there's a lot of great things that's happening here.
And that's a good point to make too. Not only are we're growing by leaps and bounds, but it is still at the heart of it that same small town feeling.
Yes.
And I don't want to say Mayberry, but the thing of it is though is that when you're here, everyone welcomes you in. If you're a new person or visiting from out of town, you're going to run into somebody who wants to inform you about everything that's going on and really help you. So you still get that same small town atmosphere, but you just have a little bit more to offer than you used to.
Absolutely. And I gave a little presentation I'm going to talk about here in a minute at the Barrow Fair last night. And part of what I talked about was just that I moved away from my hometown Pikeville here for about 10 years. Lived in central Kentucky and for a lot of different places in Kentucky, everywhere from Glasgow to Shelbyville to Winchester to Louisville and other places in between. And though Kentucky is a beautiful state and I really like it, but there's no place like home because of what you're talking about. Eastern Kentucky has a totally different flair. Not only the beauty of the mountains, but really the true heart of the people. Our people, it's great, and what I love most of all is even prior to being recognized, whether through Pike TV or through the city, even before that, whether you're going shopping at Walmart or Food City or Lowe's and seeing somebody that you know and stop you with a warm smile and just a little bit of conversation. You don't get that when you go to other communities. So,
no, you get that turned
plus.
Head, or they look away and they don't want to engage you. But here, it's a totally different situation.
Well, we're huggers and lovers, is what I say, and that's and it's hard for people outside the area to understand that. And a lot of that, I'm obviously a member of the Baptist faith. I belong to the Primitive Baptists, and we are huggers. I mean, when you come in, we embrace our brothers and sisters, and it just flows over. And a lot of people in our community do that. But when you go outside the area, when you try to approach somebody in that method, they kind of back up and don't want you in their space. So no place like home.
You're exactly right. Well, I know we're going to talk about a lot of things today. We
Yes.
have much to get to. Like I said, it's been a while. We're going to update our viewers on some projects,
Yes.
on some events that are going to happen. A little bit later on this morning, we're going to have our new police chief join us,
Yes.
which is very exciting, Chief Reed. But the one thing that we're both excited about
Yes.
for many different reasons is our Miss Kentucky Jessica Case-Bolt, who is from Pikeville.
Well, Jessica just, not only radiates with her warm personality, but she is a true ambassador.
Certainly.
Not only of the state of Kentucky, but more importantly, and she was at the Barrow Fair last night, and what I hear her say time and time again that really gives me warm and fuzzy, is that her hometown is Pikeville, and that's who she represents. There's a lot of things going on. Of course, this up and coming January, the Miss America pageant. We our fingers are crossed. We're wishing her the best. But also, there's an opportunity right now for the state of Kentucky to step up and really support Jessica as she has supported the state of Kentucky. And that is that there is something out there floating around right now. It's called the People's Choice Award for Miss America. And in essence, what it is that it's enticing people across America to vote for their choice. And the top 15 top vote getters will automatically advance in the Miss America pageant. So it's extremely important for our folks to get out and vote. On the bottom of your screen,
Right.
we're going to flash up the direct link to the site. And what you can do is any device that you have, and we urge people to do this, is whether you have a computer, an iPhone, an iPad, any device in your home, it will allow you to vote at least one time. So get all those contraptions out, get your kids involved, and let's get out there and support somebody that's out there supporting our community as well.
Absolutely. I'll name that, and we're going to put it on your screen, www.missamerica.org/video contest /contestant /Kentucky.aspx. Now, what you can do is you can also go to missamerica.org, and
Yes.
it will prompt you in the correct way. Then you go to find Jessica. I did it the other night when I voted for her.
Yes, me too.
You get to watch a video. So that was one of the things that the contestants were required to do, is to do a video about themselves, to kind of tell you a little bit about their background, their belief system, their platform for Miss America, and what they will promote if they were selected to be Miss America. Jessica she's an actress at heart too, and she's so multi-talented. She did the greatest little video. I know Pike TV participated with some of that, and she was a judge. She was an attorney. She was herself, and there's a couple other characters that she played, but it really allows you to get to know her and about what she's doing, about her beliefs and what she wants to promote. And she did it right here in her own hometown of Pikeville. You can see, many different landmarks and familiar faces too if you get on there.
That's what I was going to say. There's a lot of people you'll see in there that I'm sure that you'll recognize. But also, if people want to see the video, they can get on I think it's on her Facebook. It's on the city's Facebook page. It's on the city's tourism page. We're trying, and many other folks in the Facebook world and the YouTube world.
If you go to YouTube and
Yes.
you type in Jessica Case-Bolt, you will be able to find several different things, her crowning, different moments that she's had on video, but also that video will be there too. But make sure you do that. It's the People's Choice award contest, and if she, like you said, the top 15 will be placed
Yes.
at the Miss America competition.
So it's important. Let's show her our support.
Yeah.
We want everybody to get out and vote for her.
We certainly do. Now let's update some other projects. We're going to talk about the sewer plant, a comprehensive plan. The theater is, the way it's moving it's going to be here before we know it.
It will be. Well, again, I thought this would be a great opportunity since we haven't been together to kind of instead of talking about the new things, kind of update folks where we are. We'll have plenty of time because the projects we're working on won't be here. We're in the working stages, so a lot of these announcements won't come up, Jill, for at least probably next month
Certainly.
or two. So I thought we would update, and of course the first one that you mentioned is the sewer plant, and it's it's one of those topics that isn't interesting to talk about,
but much needed.
But much needed and very, very important. In that, when you look at the city and you look at the growth that we've experienced, and we've also experienced tremendous growth in our sewer plant, and the need to upgrade the plant is definite. And we received a grant, if you recall, from the Army Corps of Engineers with the help of Congressman Rogers, and of $1 million. It was a $750,000 grant. We had a $250,000 match. But Vaughn and Melton is doing the the design as we speak. So we're looking at is putting a new system in called a membrane system. And it is intriguing to me because I'm learning a lot about these plants, but
Never thought you would be so interested, right?
well, you know, what's more interesting is when I come home and sit there, and my lovely wife sits there and listens to me for 30 minutes getting excited about sewer.
I really think she's a saint.
I
do.
Trust me, because she nods pretending to be
but
interested.
she is so very interested as well, though, and that's the great thing.
Well, she's very involved and understands a lot of these components, and with, you know, she's my rock, as I keep saying, because she supports a lot of things and a lot of the time in and out of the on or off the clock, I'll say,
Right.
which I'm always on the clock. But, you know, the unique thing about the system we're looking at is it's new technology called a membrane system, and what it has the capability of doing is utilizing our existing site, so that we don't have to go out, because the problem, if anybody's ever been up to where the old animal shelter was, it's a very tight, constricted site that they built the plant. It's surrounded by walls, and there's no really room to grow. So with this new system, what it allows us to do is take the existing containers, which we have a 2 million gallon plant, and you can build it in a capacity or a fashion that with these membrane systems you can actually take a 2 million gallon plant with basins and actually push it up to 6 million gallon plant. So what it allows us to do is all the components that you would have to buy, such as new property, which is a big piece of this, and again, new transmission lines and all those things, we don't have to go that route. We can use the existing facility, and what we can do is we can layer on additional capacity by 100,000 gallons. So where before, if you outgrew your capacity and you needed, in historically in the past, you always had to add 1 million gallons at a time. Mm-hmm. Now what you can do with this plant is add 100,000 gallons at a time. So you don't have to pay for it until you need it. And a lot of communities, what they've had to do is they've had to go in and have to project 20 years out, because typically 20 to 30 years is how you'll borrow on a plant like this. So it's got to last you that long. So what you had to typically do in the past is go out and spend $20 million, for example, for something that you're not going to use for 20 years from now. Where in this sense, you put the initial investment in, and then you can layer on 100,000 gallons at a time. So what we'll probably look at doing, based upon our trend, is look at putting probably a 3 to 4 million gallon plant in from a 2 million gallon plant. And why do we go from a 2 to 4? Because that's double. Understanding when I came on board in 2004, our plant was running about 600,000 gallons. Right now it's running about 1.9 million. And all that, or the majority of that, is pure growth. Now we did take on some additional area. That additional area only calculated, or was about 300,000 additional gallons. The rest, which brought us up to 900,000 gallons. The other 1 million gallons was based upon pure growth. Again, it was the hospital, the coal building, all the retail development that happened down around Lowe's and Walmart. So when you look also at the new hospital addition, you look at the retail coming up, and Marion's branch at some point, we've got to get ahead of the curve. So we'll be probably within 3 million gallons, I feel like, probably within the next 3 or 4 years. So the commission is taking this very, very seriously. They want to project out to make sure that the community is taken care of. But again, the beauty of this system is it gives us the opportunity of layering on above and utilizing some of the same containment units. So now, I know it's hard to get interested, but it's a very, very important issue for our community, because sewer and utilities as a whole, as the basis of your infrastructure, will dictate your growth for your community over the next years to come.
Certainly, one of those necessary things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And with that said, Danell Hall, who a lot of people know him, he used to work for the Transportation Cabinet here. Yeah. He is now working for Vaughn and Melton, an engineer with them. He'll be before the City Commission this coming Monday, the 10th of December, to give the Commission an update. So we don't expect the plan, the design, to be completed probably for the next probably about another 6 months. It's a very tedious process. But once that's done, then we'll look at going out for grant opportunities, again, to help pay for as much of this debt service as we possibly can.
One other thing I want to update everybody on is our comprehensive plan. It is up and going. Pikeville High School, very involved. You're going to meet with them again in the beginning of January. And this is just a phenomenal effort and really forward thinking on your part.
Well, again, in order to get where you need to be, you got to have a plan. Mm-hmm. And a lot of communities across the state does not. And pursuant to the KRS, a city of a 4th class or greater is supposed to have a plan every 5 years. we did one when I came on board. We started in 2004. We completed it in 2005. We've completed over 90% of that plan. So a lot of the things that people see in our community was because of the plan and how it was produced, and that is available, by the way. The current plan is available on the city's website at www.cityofpikeville.com. But we spent the last year and a half looking for funds to try to pay for a new plan. We've hired the same company that did our previous plan, which is out of Syersville. So they are now meeting with different leaders in our community to develop the plan. And as you said, the something new that we did this year that was great, Jill, I'm telling you, it was a wonderful experience. Is that, again, we talked about in the previous show, we have different genders represented in different age groups that's represented as part of the plan. But one age group that we didn't include, or most communities don't, is the Generation X. And that's the younger group. So what the commission decided to do was we brought in 4 juniors, 4 seniors, 4 or 5, I can't remember. I think it was 4 of each. Juniors and seniors from Pikeville High School, and we sat them down with the commission and let them understand the intricate parts of what this plan is, getting them to understand that they're going to be the voice of their generation. So they have taken this. It was we had some great interaction. Wonderful. Matter of fact, we aired that segment on Pike TV, and we're getting ready to come back. I think it's December the 7th for our follow-up meeting with them, because they were given the assignment to go and come up with what they felt like under their generation that this community needed to help and grow into for them. So we're real excited to see what they come back with.
And we discussed that, it's when I was their age, probably when you were their age, you really never thought about being, quote, the leader of tomorrow. But the attitude that these kids have nowadays is so different, and they're so much more involved with technology being as it is. They have the best ideas, and you can always learn from them.
Well, and that's exactly right. You just nailed it on hit the nail on the head, is that there's a lot to learn from this generation, because it's a totally different generation. We've heard this growing up. This generation below us is different, right. But this truly generation is, because totally it's a totally different thought process. Technology, our community, our nation is advancing through technology. A lot of things that we don't understand. A lot of things that our kids are being programmed now how to multitask in a totally different way. Really? They can watch TV, listen to music, be on their iPad and on the computer all at the same time. To where we a lot of times have to focus on the one, because that's how we were brought up.
Right.
And as we evolve and as our technology evolves, those are the folks that we need to be listening to, because they're the ones that are the users and will be the future developers. So one of the things, for example, that we're working on is to try to provide, that I mentioned about projects that's up and coming, trying to provide high-speed internet in the downtown business area. So we're working with Suddenlink and a few other companies to try to initiate that. But again, communities that are growing are looking, especially rural downtown communities, are looking at IT, looking at arts and culture, and looking at, again, fun ways to bring people downtown. Because, again, the retail traffic, no matter how much we would love to see another G.C. Murphy's or Hobbs downtown, right. Those days are gone. Not saying that it couldn't happen, but more than likely won't, because those businesses rely upon foot traffic. And because of your big boxes like Lowe's and Walmart, who typically can't put 15 acres in a downtown area, they grew on the outskirts of rural communities. And those smaller boxes feed off of the foot traffic that comes into those retail boxes. So when you look downtown, you can imagine you're going to invest, $1 million in acquiring a building, and then another couple $1 million or $1 million putting product in it, and then you have to look downtown and say, okay, where are they going to park? Where am I going to get the additional foot traffic? After 5 o'clock and everybody goes home, how am I going to be able to take care of my business? So those are the things we have to look at when we're planning our community and moving it forward. And this generation has a big play in that.
Oh, they certainly do. I think one of the greatest things right now, and we've talked about this before, especially, with the nice weather we've been having, we can continue to do it even now in December, which is a little crazy. But I love to take my computer to the city park.
Yes.
For lunch, and there's free Wi-Fi there, and do my work, and it's like I have an office on a picnic table. Seems as though I get more done that way sometimes, but it just speaks volumes about how our technology has changed. The business hub is in the downtown area, and there are ways that you can work and not have to be sitting in your office because of the infrastructure that is now in place and will be more in place later on when we get everything else put in there.
Well, you're exactly right, and again, that was the vision that the commission came forth, was creating a meeting place such as the city park, and putting infrastructure in place such as free Wi-Fi as a gathering point, because when you look at the universities and the technical college, the point in between the two is the parking garage and the city park. So it's utilized. And
a great deal.
A great deal. And then with the Expo Center and other things that we've created or trying to create there. And again, there's a few other neat projects that we're looking forward to seeing happen. That I think will enhance it. Up and coming.
Always
Stay tuned, as they say.
Yeah, one thing that is up and coming, we talked about this, just mentioned it briefly, the Pikeville Theater. We had the groundbreaking, a month ago, seems as though, and now you can actually, there's movement going on. It could possibly have a name already, which is very interesting, Pikeville Playhouse, but I know that's just a suggestion right now.
It is. What the committee will be meeting, the building committee will be meeting actually at noon on the 10th. I chair that committee. We got some great leaders as part of that committee, a couple of city commissioners and 3 members of Jenny Wiley Theater. And we'll come together. We come together usually once a month. Now that we're moving forward on the project, it's to pay bills. The design is completed. Well, let me say, we're getting ready to bid out the project in 2 weeks, the actual construction phase. The demolition phase and the ground is done. I just got yesterday a copy of the plans. They're 75% completed. Within the next 2 weeks, they'll be 100%, and they'll be placed out for bid. The next component of this, because the facade will have to be designed, is where we're going to officially name it. Now, again, the contract the City Commission has signed is with the Jenny Wiley Drama Association. However, it's always been thought of that it needs its own identity. So one of the names that's being thrown out at my good friend Tom Hutchinson's one that came up with it.
You know what? That doesn't surprise me a bit.
Well,
when I read
it, he's very forward-thinking and has a lot of great ideas.
Very creative individual.
Creative. That's a good description. But Pikeville Playhouse, brought to you by the Jenny Wiley Drama Association. Again, the intent is never to leave out the name because that name is synonymous throughout all the area and has a great history, but an indoor theater. But again, given its own identity, and again, trying to tie it to our community, which is why the Pikeville name was in the play also. So we'll be meeting to talk about the final name choice and awarding the project. Again, it's slated to be completed by December of 2013.
Which blows me away. That's 1 year from now.
Yes, it is. 1 year
from
now.
It'll be here. And when our builder spoke with us, he, much like the hotel going in downtown and our retail development that we will update quickly, the projected date might be a little sooner than what was originally anticipated, which is great news for everybody.
Well, it is, because we were looking actually middle of 2014.
Yeah.
And now that they have moved it up, because they're so far ahead and they know what kind of building materials and the scheme that they're going for. So it's going to be a great project, something the community is going to be very proud of.
No doubt. Something else our community is going to be very proud of, and we've talked about this forever. I told you Neil Wilson called me. I need to call him back. He was going to, share some things with us. But it's a retail development. He's the developer that was on our show for the economic development, a show that we did, and it's getting closer and closer. And every time I drive past that area, I envision what's going to be like horseshoe around, if you will, Texas Roadhouse, and the opportunity and the economic development growth that brings to our area. It's something.
Well, I go back to a story. I spoke to Dan B. Poole the other day, and Dan said that his mother came here for Thanksgiving. Yes. It's the first time she'd been here in 20 years. And it was a great story just because I hadn't thought about somebody that hadn't been in our community for 20 years, what it looked like then and what it looks like today. And it just a lot of great compliments and a lot of great comments. But if you look at the landscape, not only has it changed over the last 10 years substantially, looking forward, it's going to change even that much more because of all these new projects that are coming along. And this is a big part of that. And again, it's probably, when I'm stopped on the street, it's the biggest question is of people trying to pry out of me what the names of the stores are coming in.
That's happened to me recently.
Well, and
they would think that I know, but I really don't. I try my best to pry too.
Well, I can say that I had a good conversation with Neil this week. He has signed a couple of new stores. Now, instead of just getting commitments and letters of intent, he now has contracts. So, again, the intent is probably you won't see any construction or any movement on the property till around March or April of next year because we still have to get through the due diligence of the post office. But under that term, he is spending probably $200,000 in the design. He told me around $180,000 in putting all the designs and the specs together for the building. But there's some really neat stores that are coming along.
Well, and the thing that he told us when he was here is that, like you said, construction may begin in March, but it goes pretty quickly once it begins. And he told us that it is his goal to have some things open this time next year.
Yes.
Not everything, of course, but some things that we can utilize for the holiday shopping season.
Well, what he's telling me is that if he starts in March or April, probably the entire project should be complete within 8 to 9 months after that. Because he's actually going to do what he first talked about doing was just phase 1, but he's going to do what I would call phase 1 and phase 1.5
Right.
at the same time. And then phase 2 will be where the post office is. So it's moving.
You mentioned the Bear Fair last night. That would have been, we are on the 6th, so that would have been December 5th. I didn't get to go. I wanted to go. It was just, I was not able to, but wonderful event put on by the Artisan Center. Tom Leach in town, giving the keynote address. Al Greenfield moderating the entire thing. The announcement of 5 new bears coming to our downtown area. And you talk about something that is a huge conversation topic. I see people all the time taking pictures with their favorite bears. I see them on Facebook that people have posted. I know I have my favorites, but 5 more bears. Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, the unique thing is that I've had 5 communities call me and tell me that, ask me who we got the bears from. So there are communities all over the state of Kentucky that are now looking to duplicate, not just with bears, but with different, I don't want to give away some
animals.
of the animals, yeah, that's a good way to put it, and doing some of the same things. So again, we're leading the rest of the region and area, and so I'm excited about it. But yeah, we've got 5 new bears. Actually, the bears came in Monday. They're stationed over at the fire department. They haven't been painted yet. I spoke with Leanne, who's the director of the Artisan program. She's talking to the artists because we're going to take a little different approach on these. We're giving them actually
we're picking the themes.
There you go. Instead of asking them, we're going to pick the themes and ask them to give their artistic interpretation of what that theme is, and then asking them to bid on what they would charge in order to do the theme. So within the next few months, we're hoping to unveil these before Hillbilly Days, or right around the Hillbilly Day time. So we'll have 15 bears.
I love them.
The city.
I think they're fantastic.
And just a great conversation piece.
Yeah, they certainly are. Commercial air service, quickly, you want to update us on that?
Very quickly, things are moving along. As a matter of fact, I'll be gone most of next week. I'll be gone for 4 days to go and actually meet with a commercial air provider. So things are, the $1,750,000 is now committed. And at the request of the commission and the community and all those people that endorse commercial air service, myself and Luke Schmidt is going to meet. And again, confidentially, I can't disclose who the provider is yet, but we have somebody that's extremely interested. I want to say I appreciate Congressman Rogers' office, especially Senator-elect Chris Girdler, who's played a major role in helping us move this thing along, because it's actually moved. We thought we would not have a meeting until January or February. They called back and have an interest. And so we're actually meeting. I'm flying to Arizona next week to meet with a provider. So some good things are happening and moving forward.
We hope to have a big announcement on that
I'm
coming up
hoping
soon.
with everything in this. It's not for the lack of work.
I know that. Exactly right. We have a few announcements that we want to get to before we bring in our new police chief of the city. New city commissioner swearing-in ceremony. That will be Monday, December 10th.
Correct.
And then the KLC is doing a feature story on the Hatfield and McCoy story. And, we haven't talked a lot about that, but it just seems like one of those things that we continue to discuss.
Well, the KLC is looking. They have their monthly publication that goes out to every city in the state of Kentucky. 420, but 385 is part of the league. But they're doing a feature story on this phenomenon within our community with the Hatfield and McCoy and what we're doing, our relationship with the county tourism and the tourism itself. So we're going to get, again, a tremendous amount of exposure statewide on what we're doing to lead the way in tourism.
Yeah. Great idea. Coming up on December 10th also, not only the swearing-in ceremony of our new commissioners and the current ones, but the Christmas parade coming up on the 10th at 6 o'clock, and then that will end up with a live nativity, which is always one of my favorite things of the Christmas season from PMC.
Well, we greatly appreciate our partnership with Pikeville Medical Center. Over the last 3 years, we have tied our Christmas parade in with their opening event for the live nativity scene and their lighting ceremony. So, they're our largest customer in the city from the standpoint of occupational tax. We've got a great relationship. Walter May being a past mayor, we have a lot of commonalities and a lot of discussion, but another great event coming up.
If you have never been to see the live nativity, you don't know what you're missing.
Well, it's funny. My son was in the nativity last year, so
that's right.
He enjoyed it, and my brother-in-law also. So it's a great visual and a great. It's becoming a tradition for Pikeville Medical Center.
Just a service to the community, much like many other things that the hospital provides. Now, our second commission meeting, it fell on Christmas Eve, so that's been changed.
It has. We have canceled our second meeting in December. We may call a special meeting, but just to let the community know because it fell on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. We've gone through a lot of information in 35 minutes. But when we come back, we're going to meet our new police chief. He's been with the department for a long time, but not in this capacity just this week. So we'll come back and meet our new police chief, Detective Philip Reed, in just a moment. Pikeville and Pike County Tourism invite you to scenic Pike County, where history lives. Enjoy a tour of the famous Hatfield and McCoy feud sites in downtown Pikeville. Treat yourself to an adventure on the Hatfield and McCoy River Trails, a Kentucky Blue Water Trail. Affordable rentals of kayaks, canoes, and tubes are available. Have your own kayak? We'll pick you up and drop you off for your trip down the river. Pikeville offers comfortable accommodations, exciting attractions, and great restaurants. Make Pikeville your home away from home. Visit and enjoy wonderful attractions like the Breaks Interstate Resort Park, Jenny Wiley State Park, the Hatfield McCoy ATV trails, and so much more, all within 30 minutes of downtown Pikeville. So what are you waiting for? Visit our website today at www.visitpikeville.com or tourpikecounty.com. Discover Pike County. Welcome back into the City Manager's Report for Part 2. Donovan Blackburn, City Manager of Pikeville, joins me, and we have a new guest with us.
We do.
For our segment here. This is our brand new police chief, Chief Philip Reed. I have to look down because I'm so used to calling him Detective Philip Reed, but welcome in, Chief Philip Reed, to our show. Pleasure to have you here. Now, this just happened this week for you.
Correct.
So is the newness starting to kind of wear off a little bit, or not so much?
Not so much yet.
Not so much. Well, we're certainly pleased to have you here with us today. We'll talk more in just a moment. We do want to talk about our former chief, Jimmy Dean Atkins, wonderful man, a friend to the community, has been a wonderful ambassador for our city for so long, decided to retire.
He did. Chief Atkins, with 21 years of service. You know, when I first started with the city in 2004, Chief Sanders was the chief at that time and was close to his retirement, and he had retired. And I told this story the other day at the department meeting, but you know, I brought Jimmy Dean into the. He and I went down to Jerry's before we named him officially as the chief, and we had about a 2-hour-long conversation to talk about the department and the philosophies of the department. And Jill, it was no secret for people that were around there in that time, the department had some issues at that time. We had some internal issues. A lot of things needed to take place. Larry Sanders was, Chief Sanders at the time, was put in and was starting the cleanup process, and Chief Atkins came in at a very difficult time. And in that time, had completely revised the entire department, everything from the field operating procedures to how we train our new officers, to the interview process we bring people into, to putting in different programs like Shop with a Cop and Back with the Dare program, and we did upgraded our 911 system totally, put a $500,000 system in with that, introduced our lie detector test system. So there was a lot of different components that this community benefited from under Chief Atkins' leadership. But like most people in this profession, you know, usually after 20, 25 years within that range, it's time. It's a very difficult position because you're dealing with people's freedom in a sense, and you're also dealing with the protection of your community. So Chief Atkins decided to retire. He's got some new grandkids and wanted to go on and enjoy time with them, which it was duly honored. You know, one of the things that this community is to understand and that I'm extremely proud of is that through our 911 system, we average right now answering about 16,000 calls a year, and that's with fire and police. That's everything from an accident to just helping somebody out that may be distressed vehicle. So there's a lot of components of this department, but this is by far, and I'll make this statement clearly, by far, if not the best, one of the best police departments in the state of Kentucky. It's an elite department for several reasons, not just because we say they are, but it's because of the various certifications that they have. Every audit that they've had since I've been here, they have achieved 100% on, every single one. So there's a lot of different components that this department has done that really sets themselves aside from the rest of the state of Kentucky and other departments. And besides that, we've got a 4-minute response time within the community on average, between a 4 to 4.5 minute response time. And when you have an emergency and you need somebody there because of an emergency. Now, that's not to say that if there's an incident and you have multiple incidents, that it may not take a little bit longer if it's a non-emergency. But an emergency incident, again, a 4 to 4.5 minute response time is remarkable, and that's important. Very important for a community, because when you're paying your taxes and you deserve a quality of life that you put upon the backs of government for you, then there's no finer department than the Pikeville Police Department.
Well said, my friend.
I'm very proud of them.
As you should be, and we all are. Now, I'm going to allow you to introduce our new police chief, if you would.
Well, the City Commission had a very difficult task And this is not to downplay our new chief at all, because cream rises to the top, and we've got a lot of top guys in this department.
Absolutely.
And we interviewed 4 different candidates. All 4 candidates are very highly qualified, interviewed extremely well. This is the first time in 9 years that I've been interviewing that the commission elected to do the interviews with me. So we had an interview committee that's set up, and that's the way we have a process that you follow. But they interviewed. I had 20-minute interviews set up, and they said that's too short. So they canceled my interviews for the day. Actually, you were one of the ones I think was sent home, weren't you?
Yeah.
Well, that had to make you feel good, right?
Yeah. We sent 2 of the candidates home, and instead of having 20-minute interviews, we ended up interviewing about an hour and a half each candidate, somewhere through that range. So after discussion and debate, again, one name rose to the top. Not that the others aren't good qualified candidates. We just promoted also Sergeant Ricky Johnson and Sergeant Chris Edmonds to the position of captains. But we had one candidate that who went to Eastern Kentucky University and was second in his class, was first in his class at the police academy, received 3 of the 5 awards that they give out at the academy, has had several leading arrests that has really blown the top off. One that is in mind was this major thing that we had going on over these car thefts.
Right.
that was broke wide open. And I could go on and on and on about all the wonderful accomplishments. In my time, is there a few cases that has gone unsolved? The answer is yes. But in my 9 years, very few, because of this man. So with that said, it was my honor and distinct privilege to go before the City Commission at a special call meeting last week and recommend to the Commission our new Pikeville Police Chief, now Chief Philip Reed.
Absolutely. Well, as I said, welcome. So nice to have you here with us today. I know that you have so many visions and so many goals and things that you want to put into place to make this your own. You started with the force in 2001, and just as a policeman, and then you went to detective, and now this week you become chief. So tell me a little bit about what's gone through your head this week and about all the ideas that you have coming up.
It's a lot to take in at once.
Yeah.
It's a big change. With the change comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of responsibilities placed upon my shoulders now that I'm willing to accept. Like I said, the visions, with a statement that I stand behind is, without a vision, the people perish. So I do have a vision for our department. It's to make it better than what it already is. I want our department to be community-oriented and community-involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I want every member of our department to be proud of who they are and what they're with, and other people to wish they were part of it.
I think one of the greatest things about our entire force, if you will, is that they're so approachable. Like I've known you for a while, very approachable. Chief Atkins obviously instilled that in his officers as well, and I know our new captains will do that as the same thing. But a lot of communities you go into, you may not have that same luxury, but if you see your guys on the street, you can walk up to them and say hello without any sort of reservation whatsoever.
Correct.
And that's the way you want it to be, obviously.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that this department has done is they've taken on a certain sense of priorities,
Mm-hmm.
and those priorities are community-minded. And Chief, why don't you talk a little bit about talking about how we police in this community?
I believe our number one priority is patrolling residential neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
Businesses, especially after hours, providing a sense of safety for the business person after they go home, that their businesses are being protected and watched.
Mm-hmm.
They can't be there 24/7. Obviously, we can't be there on scene 24/7, but being more productive in our patrols in these neighborhoods, especially areas that are more susceptible to crime, being seen more often in those areas, just to provide a more sense of comfort to the community and to the business owners and individuals that are involved.
I've been able to see that firsthand too, because with my other job at East Kentucky Broadcasting, being an early morning talk show host, I'm up at 4 o'clock traveling the streets, going to get my coffee and get to work, and it's not uncommon to see our patrolmen out doing just that, patrolling local businesses up and down the streets and in different residential neighborhoods. And it's really comforting to know that while we're sleeping, or while most people are sleeping and resting, that you are looking out for us.
Correct. That's the whole intention, for us to be seen, just to be there, to give that assurance for the individuals in the community.
Yeah.
Well, Jillian, and that's a good point, because these guys work 365 days of the year. There is no off days for these guys. They're working holidays. They're working nights. They've got a full complement of staff out, and they come out on call when they're needed. So, when we're asleep in our beds, you may not see them, but they're patrolling the neighborhoods. And one of the things that was introduced a couple of years ago was also the Foot Patrol program downtown. So they're actually rattling doors, making sure doors are locked, and they have found several that hasn't been over the years. So it's a great value again to the community.
We talked about the 16,000 EMS calls that we get in, and I do want to touch also on our new alert system, our sirens that are being implemented. Those will be tested next week, and I know you're part of that. Obviously, the city very involved. But just one more thing to give us the reassurance of knowing that we're going to be protected, that everything here that's going on, that you were doing, is for the betterment of our community and to keep us as safe as possible. In light of recent events, the tornadoes, Hurricane Sandy up in, on the coast, those things, obviously the tornadoes can happen here now. We've seen that. Had those places had those siren systems, I imagine things would have been a little bit different.
Well, it is, and it's extremely important.
Correct.
For our citizens. Philip, you know a little bit more about the process. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what we're doing and how this is going to work?
They've located the sirens in different areas, like on the north and the south ends of town, and one by the fire station on Chloe. My understanding, when the siren goes off, it rotates in a 360-degree angle to alert.
So the whole surrounding area. So just because it's positioned coming north or south, it's
Correct.
actually going to rotate to get every area around
Correct.
there. Okay.
It's going to be very audible. Everyone's going to be able to hear it.
I have heard they are extremely loud.
They will be, and that's another key note on that is that they'll be finishing the project the week of the 10th, and probably that Friday or the following week, we are mandated to test them once a month. So there'll be some tests going off. We don't want people to get alarmed, no pun intended, but we'll be putting PSAs out.
Right. We'll talk about that extensively next week too. That it is going to be there, but again, just a much needed thing in our community, just to help protect and to alert, and not to alarm, but to make sure that it's okay when these things goes off, that you know where you need to be and the things that you need to be taken care of. You mentioned the 4-minute response time. I can't reiterate enough how important that is, and how thankful that our community members should be and our citizens should be to know that if they were to call the police, the police station or the fire station, wherever, that they're going to be there quickly.
It is. It's extremely important. You've got a great complement of new leadership in the department too. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
The additional promotions. We do have a wonderful group of individuals from top to bottom, but we do have 2 additional employees that were promoted to police captain that's going to oversee a lot of things that I can't, that I'm going to be involved in other things that they will be there to oversee. The administrative part of it, to make sure that the procedures are still being followed as far as the response time, making sure that the officers are still providing the quality of service that the public expects here.
And both of these gentlemen have been with the department for a while too. Ricky Johnson, Chris Edmonds have been there for, I don't know combined what their years of service are, but it's several years.
Correct. Sergeant Chris Evans, that was promoted to captain, he's been there approximately 13 years, and Ricky Johnson, promoted to captain from sergeant, has been there 12 years.
Wow.
So they both provided a lot of dedication to the city.
They know the ins and outs, so to speak.
Correct, yes.
Are there any new community efforts that you're thinking of implementing? I know we shop with the cop, different things like that, but maybe a vision that you have that you'd like to share with us?
There are a lot of ideas being tossed around, a lot of commitment, involvement with other departments. I've already spoke with Commander to Kentucky State Police Post 9.
Yes.
I want to be more involved with that department. They're as much involved with Pike County and Pikeville as we are, and we want to have a better relationship with them, get involved in more programs with them, just make the community in a whole more aware that we're working with other departments, so we can all work together to provide one common goal, which is provide the best service possible.
That's what I was going to say. You all have the same goal, and that's
Correct.
Protecting and serving and making sure everything's okay.
Correct.
Well, Chief Reed, we have certainly enjoyed you being with us today. I want to invite you back anytime. I know, Donovan, that you take care of it, but I'm inviting you back. Any projects that you have? I know we'll have you back on, talk further about different projects and new endeavors that you're wanting to take care of.
Well, and that's what the intent is I wanted to bring the new chief on the show to let the people get to know his face and who he is, because as he said a moment ago, one of the things that the commission has put on his back is that they want him out at different events and different groups, talking to the public, really interacting and communicating with the community. So, and that's part of the reason why we elected to put two captains in versus one captain, was to give him the freedom to be able to do some of those things. So you're going to see Chief Reed come back on the show and talk about all his new initiatives here, probably in a couple of months, to get, again, a little bit more defined.
All right. Anytime you want to come back, you come right on.
Thank you very much.
Don't forget the Christmas parade, the 10th.
Yes.
And it should be a fun time. The live nativity starts that night too. Get out and see that. Donovan, we're out of time for today.
Well, it always goes that way, Jill.
It does.
It flies.
When you have a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to get out there, it does fly when you're having fun, right? Well,
Amen.
Until next time, you have been watching the City Managers Report. We'll see you next time.